Wireless LAN Professionals Podcast, episode 119.
Wireless LAN Professionals is a place to educate, inform, encourage, and entertain those involved in wireless LANs. This Wireless LAN Professionals podcast is an audio manifestation of these goals. Our host is a wireless LAN veteran, consultant, designer, and teacher, Keith Parsons. And now, the podcast for wireless LAN professionals by wireless LAN professionals.
Hello, Keith Parsons here with Wireless LAN Professionals Podcast. Today we're talking with Nick Turner. Nick, how are you?
Hello. I'm very well, thank you, Keith.
And where are you?
I am in the UK, on the south coast of England.
Southeast or southwest?
Well, more in the middle, actually. It's I live very close to a town called Bournemouth on the south coast.
I have actually been to Bournemouth.
And did you like it?
Well, the weather wasn't great, but it was pretty, and took a little ferry trip around there. So yeah, so I know where you are. Good. Perfect. Well, welcome. And today I thought we could talk about the same topic you gave at WLPC Lisbon a couple of weeks ago on Ekahau Report Templates. You good for that?
Very, very much so. Yes, please.
Good. Well, since this is a podcast audio format, we don't have the benefit of having nice, pretty pictures to talk about. One of the things that you showed during your demonstration, and by the way, if anyone wants to see it, on WLAN Pro's website, Resources Lisbon, you can go and watch the video to follow along. But let's do our best to try to just give the listeners a visual image by describing it well. So part of your job is helping Ekahau customers. And when they ask for custom templates, walk us through how you do a kind of a consulting gig with a customer.
Sure. You don't want me to run through and describe each tag that I use.
Yeah, probably not.
We'll avoid that. Sure. So with custom report templates within Ekahau, what attracted me and excited me about this was just how flexible I could be with it. And I must be honest with you, I don't write these custom report templates out from scratch. I usually start off with the end result that I want to achieve and then start looking through the example custom report templates that you get installed on your computer with Ekahau. And for me, it's more of a copy paste, and then I try running that through the report generator, and inevitably there's a problem. So then I try and work out where the problem in the syntax is. And when you run a custom report template through Ekahau, it tells you where the problem in the script was. So and then I break it, and then I try and fix it.
And so it's kind of an iterative process. You
definitely
copy paste, run. Oh, that didn't work. Fix until you get what you want.
Absolutely. And I use the Ekahau support page a lot for finding out whether such and such a tag even exists. And what I found is that I think every single value that exists within Ekahau, within reason, pretty much every single value that exists within Ekahau, we can pull out into a custom report template.
And not to mention, there's some that are in the tags that aren't available in Ekahau GUI.
Yeah, sure. And certainly ones that you cannot get from the one-click report. I mean, let's go back. Let's roll it back.
Do you normally start with the one-click as your base?
That's certainly where I started the first few times. Now I tend to modify the ones that I have already modified, and I take them 1-2 steps further. But the one-click, the sample-one-click EN document has been the source and starting point of a lot of the custom report templates that I have created. Well, absolutely.
Let's take a step back. So you mentioned these are available for anyone who's installed Ekahau. So where would a person find them on their computer?
Absolutely.
So they just got done installing. Where would they find these templates?
You'd want to go to the Documents folder, and there is a folder called Ekahau Site Survey. And inside there are 2 folders. One of them, I wonder what the other one is called. Let's have a look on my machine. If I go to Documents, there's a folder called Ekahau Site Survey, and then there are 2 folders: Projects, which contains sample project files, and another folder called Report Templates. And in there are about 10 or 15 sample report templates to get you going. And they're a great place to start.
And that's where you'll find the original one-click.
Yes. And the way I explain this is that if you run the one-click report on a project file on a project that you're working on, the resulting report looks the way it does because we clicked which boxes that we wanted to include in that report. But if we then go into the Documents, Ekahau Site Survey, Report Templates folder, and we open up the sample-one-click report template, it's as though we're looking at the source file of the one-click report.
And that's where you start your copy and paste efforts.
Yes, or perhaps I will start destroying the one-click. Maybe I'll save the one-click, save as, and then start deleting chunks.
Yes, please do the save as.
Do the save as, for sure. But, I mean, you could always download another copy of the sample one-click template if you would like to from the link that will be in the show notes. So
one of the things that I run across a lot is I'll have 2 separate requirements, one for 2.4 and one for 5 gig. And with the one-click, you set the requirements once and then run the whole report, and so that you don't have the ability to make those changes. So what would you do if you had a chunk of that one-click you liked, but you wanted to have it as 5 gig only? What kind of tags would you need to put to make that selection process?
So do you mean we have a project and we want to produce a report that shows one threshold for the 2.4 gig band and a different threshold for the 5 gig band, let's say signal strength visualization?
Yeah, and so you can do that right now by setting 5 gig only, set the requirements, run the one-click report, and then reset to 2.4 only, change the requirements, run a separate report. But I like one report that does those 2 choices for me in one pass.
Absolutely, yeah. So for that, I would, if within Ekahau I was looking at the view that I wanted to create, let's say in 2.4, with the correct threshold, we can actually go to reporting, and then under custom report template, there's an option in there for copy current visualization tag to clipboard, and that grabs that view that you're looking at in Ekahau right now, all of the text tags that make up that view. Then you can paste that into your Word document. Then we may put a page break into our template, go back to Ekahau, change the band that we are viewing, change the threshold, and then repeat the process. So report, template report, copy current visualization template tag to clipboard, and then paste that one in. And then when we run that template through the report generator, we would get one threshold for the 2.4 visualization and a different threshold for the 5 gig.
And what you get with that copy from the visualization tags is you can see all the settings that get carried over, and then you could obviously edit those, change those how you like in your report template. Yeah,
absolutely. And I often reference the support page for support.ekahau.com, and on there is an index of all of the visualization tags, and some of them have default values. So, for example, signal strength would be a good one to.
Well, we could while you look at that, we could back up, and when you run the one-click template, you look at its code. It doesn't put in all of those specifics because it's relying on whatever was selected when you ran the one-click. So being a one-click, it's made you set the template you set the selection first, then you run the template. By doing that version that Nick just talked about, you can get all of those selection pieces as visualization tags.
Yeah.
Okay, I know this is really hard, listeners. Sorry, we're talking through things and you have nothing to look at. But in the show notes, you'll see there's some custom reports templates and some link to the support page that has a list of all the tags. I guess what I wanted to get, and Nick kick in here in a second, it's not as hard as you think. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to go in and know Python scripting. It's just in Word.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you were to take a simplistic view of it, the thing that got me going with this was that I could change the order. So in the most simple form, I could take the one-click report and change the order in which the report was produced, or change the logo that was branded in the footer of each page. So you don't have to go really deep and change, every single value. You could just be as simple as, I want to change the title page, I want to change the logo in the footer, and I want to change the order in which these chapters are addressed.
And the one I like is, though I like the guys in Helsinki who wrote a lot of these pieces, I read them and it's not in my voice. I would never to my customers say, RSSI signal strength is, or whatever the standard template words are. They're not my words. Yeah. So in front of a signal strength, an RSSI template, I would say something a little different. So it's really quick just to go in and edit that text, because that's just straight word text. There's no tags, no instructions, no changes. It just will put your words instead.
Absolutely. And I mean, if anybody was looking at a report template for the very first time, well, you fire that up and you'll see that some text is normal. There's no greater than icon, greater than symbol, hash, open bracket. There's none of that. So that text is left alone, but any text within the tags is then replaced by whatever value is being called for. And it gives you the opportunity to rewrite the explanation text.
Yeah. So text is really, really simple. Footers, headers, logos, watermarks, all of those things. If you want to make it yours, you can very quickly, customize it, even if you don't change any of the tags.
Yes.
So what are the when you're talking to your customers, what are the most popular view reports that they are asking for?
Yeah. So I haven't actually necessarily created a report template for a customer. I tend to help engineers create the template that they want to create. So rather than me create one for them, I have been involved a few times with me assisting an engineer create the report template that they want to achieve. And so a couple of good examples would be, there was a scenario where the end customer wanted to see coverage per AP. And so per AP, per band. So let's imagine the project involved 10 access points. What the customer wanted in their report was AP1, 2.4 visualization of just AP1, and then in the 2.4 gig band, and 5 gig band. And then AP2, 2.4 gig, and 5 gig. And so we would get a 20-page document if there was nothing, no intro and outro to this particular document.
So someone who gets paid per kilo.
Per page, yeah, that's right. Yeah, per kilo of document. Okay. And that is the sort of task which lends itself to the custom report templates, because you could create an AP loop, then introduce the tags for 2.4 gigahertz visualization signal strength and 5 gigahertz signal strength visualization, and then end AP loop. And then without me actually having to do that much work, we would get the 20 pages. And I explained this to a class a little while ago, and somebody said that would be perfect for our survey. They had a warehouse environment, and they came up with this fantastic scenario where they actually wanted to see the coverage per AP as a way of verifying that the antennas were correctly screwed up tight. Because we would see on a per AP view, like most of the APs have a similar sized area of coverage, but then one AP has an incredibly small area of coverage. So then we could check the transmit power. No, that's the same as all the other APs. We need to investigate it this further. So this was a very niche, but real-world scenario where per AP coverage was genuinely useful.
Well, actually, I think per AP coverage is extremely useful. It's the way I analyze all of my post-survey data. Because when you just see everything's green, does not mean it's good. You need to look at each AP and say, is the AP doing its job? Is it covering what we thought it was? Is it covering too much? Does it have steep sides or flat sides? Is it roaming? Lots of questions about each AP. So I think that's a really good example. You use 10 as your sample size. I think for 10, I could probably cut and paste pretty quick. Mm-hmm. But if that was 100, there's no way to do it other than in a template. It would just take way too long.
And just manual, laborious, repetitive action, which is the lens. That's exactly what automation is great at solving. Those repeat.
And so if you find yourself when you're talking with your customers doing a post validation or a remediation analysis, doing the same thing over and over, it's you got to think, I just did this 3 times in a row. I might want to build a template for it.
Yeah, and in fact, when I first started with report templates, I wasn't even necessarily producing the output that I would hand over to the customer. For a number of months, I was using a report template just to produce the visualizations I wanted in the order in which I wanted. So you don't feel like you have to go whole hog into building a beautiful report template that will be, come out looking exactly as you wanted, and then you hand that over to the customer. There are middle steps where you use report templates just to speed up the visualization generation.
Is there a way, let me bring the mic over here closer, is there a way to have I don't know if you've done this, have one master super template that has every single visualization, run it, then you can go back through and say, I want this part, this part, this part. I've never done that myself, but I was wondering if you know of anyone who's built the super duper template. The super template.
I don't see why it would be possible to do that. I have not done that. You can, in the latest one-click sample document, you find if functions in there. So you can take these report templates another step further, which I have not built any that really take the if functions seriously. But if you look at the sample one-click, that has got if functions. So
based on the check marks you do?
No, actually, no. In the latest one-click report, it's actually saying if count the number of APs that meet this criteria. If it's above 1, then show this visualization.
Oh, so some actual logic going into what you're going to show. So if I failed, show me where I failed, kind of thing. I mean, you could make it do all sorts of tricks for you then.
It's sort of in the middle. It's more like, are there 2.4 gig APs in this project? Are there any APs in the My AP group that are in the 2.4 gig band? Yes, then show this visualization. End if. So if there were none, then it skips and moves on to the next visualization in that document.
Do you think you could make it do something like this? If I have a multi-floor building and because of the way Ekahau, if I hear an AP on the floor above me extremely loud, I will place it on the wrong floor. Not because it's there, but because I have enough signal that I could do the auto placement.
Yep.
Is there a way to have it in some looping in that if say, wait, just show me all of the APs that are not on this floor so I can see how bad the floor-to-floor bleed is without the ones on this floor. So that logic you just talked about with if might be able to pull that off.
I think that would be possible, yes.
Then from a design point, you could use that to say, maybe we need to do something about the floor-to-floor bleed more than, because when you just run all green, you miss that piece. When you do a 1x1, it's obvious when you get an AP that's not on the same floor you're on. But they do show up as being on that floor.
Sure. But then hopefully, if we then survey the next floor in that same project file, hopefully that AP will then move.
Yes. But sometimes your neighbors will never be in the MI, but they'll show up on the floor that you're on, even if they weren't on the floor. So
yeah.
Well, that's good. So how do you how often do you use this tool to make new templates?
I at the moment I tend to create new templates based upon the requests of engineers that I speak to, because at the moment I am not producing many reports to hand over to end customers.
So not your job now.
Not at the moment, no. However, and this is why I like reaching out on Twitter to find if people have a particular report template that they're trying to create and they're not able to do it, because then that's something that I quite enjoy picking up and trying to run with and see if I can, whether it is possible to do.
So should we put your email address in the show notes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This does not mean that Nick's going to do your work for you.
No, definitely not.
But he's a resource and help.
And I quite enjoy playing with the report templates. So then, like another key feature of the report templates that I like is that we can pull out values. So for simulated APs that have a height, have an angle of tilt, have a transmit power, then those are values that we can extract from the project file and include in our report as text, which I think is pretty cool.
Like text straight into a CSV that we could suck into Excel or something?
Text in the Word document at the moment. There's no way to export data into a CSV, but
if it's in Word,
then we could copy it out of Word. Absolutely.
Yeah. So without getting into the actual data file itself, it's a way to export those pieces of information into a format that you could then bring in. Because one of the things a lot of people do is they do a wireless, predictive design, come up with a set of locations, AP locations, and if they add the names, they now have the names and locations. But when they stage up the equipment, they use a barcode scanner and get all the MAC addresses. It would be nice to have a way in Excel or something to pull those together. And then when you're done, export that and bring it into Prime or something, so you have all the AP locations, the AP names, and the MAC addresses tied together. So a kind of a workflow process. You might use the templates to help jumpstart that workflow.
Absolutely. Another tag, actually, if I may mention another one,
sure,
which I think's really good fun to play with. When I create a visualization showing me the AP locations, so let's imagine that we're not showing signal strength or signal to noise ratio, we're just showing where the APs are located. You can add scale as a tag to that visualization, and scale changes the size of the AP spot. So you can artificially raise or lower the size or shrink the AP size. So if we had an enormous map and the default, which is 100, because it works in percentage, by default the AP spots are too small, then you can add the scale tag, put in 200%. Then they'll be twice as big.
Or the reverse. Sometimes I've seen them be huge on the screen because it's not very big.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it gives you the ability to play with that. I also like you can change the physical dimensions of the visualization graphic. When they come in, if you did a cut and paste, it's whatever size and you have to rescale them. You can, as you ask for that visualization to come in, say, I want this to be 150 millimeters by 110, and they already pre-sized, and use that to make all of them consistent. One of the problems by doing manual techniques is you have to scale every graphic to be the same size.
and there's even the flexibility in there to choose your unit. You can specify width in millis or width in inches.
Well, there's for those crazy Americans who still use inches.
But hey, I mean, that's great to have options. And then, but if width is not your limiting, then you can use height in millis or height in inches.
If you want them to fit exactly right.
Absolutely.
Well, that's some fun discussion on Ekahau templates. Nick, you're also known for doing all sorts of other fun things, like making custom cables, your AP on a stick tripod. By the way, I copied you and use that every time I do an AP on a stick. What other fun little gadgets might you be into that have nothing to do with Ekahau? I mean, every time I see you, I have to go buy stuff on Amazon because you have cool little things. So what's the latest little thing you're playing with?
Well, at the moment, I'm playing with in real-world devices that cause interference, primarily for demonstrating and exploring what they look like using Sidekick. But so today, actually, I've been playing or soldering with a 5 gigahertz video transmitter, and soldering just to say that I want to be able to power this thing easily because I'm going to travel with it. I don't want to have too many cables all over the place. So yeah, at the moment I've been building up a little library of real-world interfering devices. Or real-world devices.
Put them in like a little project case with the big dial on the top. You can just switch between them.
Yes, that would be awesome.
But here's a 5 gig interferer. Here's a 5 gig radar. Etc. Ding, 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 ding.
Absolutely. Which I am maybe will happen, but we'll see. At the moment, they are separate. They are separate little devices. But
as you've done blogging in the past, I think just recommending these sounds like each would be a nice blog post.
That's a good shout. In fact, Keith, while we're on the subject of blogs, I must also thank you for your recommendation at the first WLPC EU that I attended, where we had a conversation, and you said, that's great, Nick, but you need to put that in a blog. And I did. And
you did. And now you're famous.
Quite a big thing on the internet, right?
No. Blake's the one who owns that. He's got the T-shirt that proves it as well.
He has got the T-shirt.
but you have been able to, by doing blogs, you shared something that was your passion that you understood, and now other people can do the same thing. So
absolutely, and it's really great to hear from people who have copied a project or used information that I shared and it worked. So hearing about people who have used the tripod design, or even they've taken what I put out and modified it further, and that's really great to see and hear about. So
yeah, if you're trying to follow Nick's blog on that, he does use millimeters on the sizes, and you can in the US go down to Home Depot or something and buy those same screws, but you can get away with the standards instead of metrics. Either way works. But you mentioned something in that tripod. Now that we're talking about the tripod, I couldn't figure out the first time on your first blog why you changed the angle. You just need to cut them off until I mounted. I did it incorrectly. I did not follow your instructions. I just cut them shorter so it would fit through the door, and then tried to mount the tripod wheels on it. And
yes.
As soon as you find that out, you know pretty soon why you had to change the angle. So your experience going through first helped save a lot of people that trouble. And had I believed you and I read it, I would have saved me the trouble of doing it twice.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear that you got there, though, in the end.
I got there in the end, and I understood why. I tried the big wheels, and I had really big wheels, and they rolled really nicely, but they're like, when you carry it, it's bigger than
heavier.
It's the heaviest part of the whole tripod. I've since just you used a Manfrotto. I switched to a Manfrotto lighting rig that's even smaller and lighter.
Okay.
And as long as you don't need to go up over 9 feet, I don't even take the wheels with me anymore.
Sure.
It's a whole different brand. So I'll in the show notes I'll go and add that tripod with a a standard, like a Wi-Fi stand top on it. That whole combination actually fits in my backpack, so I don't have to have a separate thing for it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a good point. Like the tripod with wheels is great for some environments, but there are plenty of environments where wheeling your tripod around is not required, or maybe not even possible. So having an even lighter weight tripod for those environments is good.
Well, I think we're kindred spirits, because we find cool things and just go buy them and try them, and that's how you solve situations.
Definitely.
Well, Nick, thanks for your time. It was good of you to spend a half hour or so with us and share this information. Where can people find your blogs and email you and information on the templates?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's been a pleasure joining you on the podcast. Thank you. Where can people contact me? Twitter is probably the best place to start, and that is at Nick JV Turner. And if you wanted to drop me an email related to Ekahau things, my email address, very, very easy to remember, would be Nick, Nick, @ekahau.com.
That's the best way to remember it. So there's got to be a story about the whole JV part in your Turner name. And is it the JV that we use in the United States for junior varsity?
Junior varsity? No, actually.
So in the States, in schools, the team that that represents your school is called the varsity team, and they're the ones who go play against the best part of your team. And the second team is called the junior varsity team, or the JV team. And so you might spend a year or two on the JV team, and then you get really good and move up to varsity. So I was just wondering if this is because you're the JV squad.
No. I have two middle names, and they represent. And this all started back when we had Hotmail email addresses, and I'm pretty sure that Nick Turner was taken. So by just popping in my initials in there, and Nick JV Turner wasn't taken, and then that stuck. So
well, that's a good place to have on your Twitter. I know a lot of people have started the Twitter with some wireless Zen guru or whatever you wanted to. You came up with kind of a title. I just found just my name was easier for me to remember. So mine's Keith R. Parsons. I put the R in there just to make it different. And then I also got Keith Parsons as well. And there was a Keith Parsons who kept hounding me. You have two Twitter accounts. I want one of them. Well, I didn't want Keith Parsons to go to somebody else. I just kept it. But the Keith R. Parsons worked for me. So yeah, sometimes we do. And then it sticks years later. Your social media name is that. So Nick JV Turner. Good way to find you. Well, Nick, thanks for your time. Appreciate your supporting the WLPC in Lisbon. Give a presentation there. We like that. We missed you at Wi-Fi Trek, but the rest of your Ekahau buddies were all down there.
Good to hear. Yes, I'm sorry I couldn't join you guys there.
Well, conferences back-to-back were a little difficult for some people.
Yes.
So, well, thanks again for your time, and hopefully people will track you down and look at your. Oh, by the way, what's your blog?
nickjvturner.com. There it is again.
Consistency. I like it. Well done. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you very much, Keith.
Wireless LAN blog reviews with Glenn Cate.
Well, Glenn, welcome back to the show. What's our blog review today?
Hey, well, thank you, Matthew. The blog review site I'm looking at today is SC Wi-Fi by Sam Clements. You can find this website at sc-wifi.com, and Sam's Twitter handle is @Samuel_Clements. Sam is a CCIE wireless, and he's also CWNE number 101. He works at a VAR that really primarily deals with Cisco wireless products, and he lives in Spring Hill, Tennessee, just a stone's throw where they play all that country music in Nashville.
Right. Well, there's a funny story I heard Keith, when he was interviewing Sam a little while ago, he said for years he just saw Sci Wi-Fi or the SC Wi-Fi and thought it was a play off of sci-fi or something, and then it dawned on him. It was like, oh, SC for Sam Clements. So he was laughing and like, oh man, did I I felt like such a dummy, he said. And pretty funny, because I thought the same thing when I saw it. It's like, oh wait, that's SC for his name. So anyways, what is this site all about?
Well, now that you mention it, I thought the same thing when I first bring up his website. So there's two of us. Thank you, Keith.
Three of us now. Yeah, I thought the same thing. So.
Well, cool. Well, Sam says his blog on his website is
not about sci-fi.
Not about sci-fi. It's about Wi-Fi, because that is his thing. And Sam's got a bunch of great Wi-Fi topics on his site. I'm looking at his site right now and see all kinds of neat stuff there. There's a wireless tab. There's a Cisco tab, access points, Spectrum, WLC, which we know as wireless LAN controllers, 802.11ac, and Wireless Tech Field Day, which has now been rebranded as Mobility Field Day. He's got a Aruba tab and a Surveys tab. Now, if you dig down each of these tabs, you can find some great, good study material. For example, I'm going to whet your appetite just a bit, and you can check out Sam's blog on the Survey tab. It's entitled, quote, "Please stop asking for an 802.11ac survey," end quote. And so you're going to have to check out this blog and ask why he asks you to not do that anymore. Sam's got a very easy blog style that provides technical information in a very easy to read and conversational format. That's what I really like about his site. He provides the tech details for sure, but he does it in a fashion as though he were talking to someone one-on-one. And most engineers know, as well as I do, sometimes it's just easier to talk and ask someone, please show me how to do this, instead of poring over tons of technical documentation. So thank you, Sam, for treating us like real people on your website.
Very cool. Anything else we just don't want to miss on the site?
Yeah. Well, Sam's placed a great blog on the website. It's called the Cisco Wave 2 Site Survey How-To. As most of us know who use Cisco APs, we know that after the 3700 series of Cisco, there's no more autonomous code for a Cisco AP. And we're all used to doing AP on a stick surveys, and you throw autonomous code on the access point and you go your merry way. But now, how do you get an AP ready for a site survey with the newer Cisco APs, the 1800s, the 2800s, and the 3800 models? Well, Sam has detailed how you do it with Mobility Express. He details how to install the code, how to set it up, and it's an invaluable resource for us engineers who really can't find this stuff on the Cisco website. At least I've never found it there. And of course, Sam does it in a manner that makes it very easy for Wi-Fi engineers to follow and use. So I want to thank you, Sam, for taking the time out of your busy schedule and to detail this stuff on how to put ME on a 3800 or an 1800 model access point, and help us to do those AP on stick surveys a little easier. And besides, knowing how to use Mobility Express can really help you out in case you don't know how to use it. I've set up Mobility Express in a few small, medium businesses, and I've used Sam's instructions on how to do that. So that's been a great thing. So Sam, thanks again for your great website. It really helps us out, and thank you for continuing to show us in that one-on-one format on how to build our wireless skill sets.
Very cool. Glenn, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at @grcate, and would love to have you follow me, and I'd be enjoying following you back as well as another Wi-Fi engineer.
Very cool. Well, this is Matthew.
And this is Glenn Cate, reminding all of you Wi-Fi professionals out there to keep on blogging in the free world. Bye for now.
10 Talks.
So, good afternoon. I was told I was not loud enough and articulate enough last time, so they're giving me a second chance. I'm the Brown Bob Friday. I have less money and more work. Bob Friday, if you don't know, is actually our founder and CTO, was the founder of Airspace, and he's the one who started Mist. And I didn't do this last time, but Mist has a Twitter handle as well. So if you would tweet, we would appreciate that. So this talk is about the convergence of sort of Wi-Fi and BLE. How many of you have done Bluetooth Low Energy deployments? Wow. Actually, cool. So more than I thought. So what this is going to focus on is sort of, I'm going to actually slow down a little bit and focus on the use cases we are targeting. What is the product? and then come back to what are the best practices we're doing, all within the next 9 minutes. So use cases. So what we're after is there is all these verticals that have a lot of consumers, employees, guests, patients, whatever it is, right? So each of these use cases, if it is retail is in an existential crisis, right? With the online retail bearing down the throat, but retail has physical presence. So they have an ability to actually deliver a very experiential, experience versus somebody, online, right? So retail is very hot on delivering, location experiences. We're going to talk about that. Healthcare, it's about, when I walk in, if I just was checked in, my doctor was notified, I was assigned a room and I was given a navigation to the room directly, that's nirvana. Remove the check-in line. Enterprise, if I could do room occupancy, if I could do employee navigation, all of them, all the enterprises have apps, so we're doing a lot with enterprise. Hospitality, again, as I check in, do I have to go through a check-in line? We all have mobile phones, they know where we're going, they could tell us where we should be going, and we should just use BLE and move on, right? Education, it's about the experience on campus. Without Wi-Fi these days on campus, almost nothing gets done, right? So education, but then you add the notion of location. Can I find my class? Can my parents tour my campus? Can I find the library? Can I find the closest open, auditorium, whatever, right? So lots of use cases. What is the state of the art today? It's battery-operated beacons or USB beacons. And everyone who has done that will tell you that doesn't work. Do not go down that path, right? What we are after is we are inversing this and saying, okay, what if we actually did an enterprise-grade 16 and 10 element array BLE that actually blankets your space with BLE? Once I blanket your space with BLE, I can engage with a mobile app, the phone receives BLE, and sorry. I can't turn it off, so you'll live with that. So, you could actually do virtual beacons. We can actually move these beacons, no physical beacons at all, right? So we could actually programmatically deploy beacons overnight completely automatically, right? So no physical beacons, no battery-operated beacons. And that leads you to, zone analytics. You could do a lot of dwell times. You could track assets. You could track individuals. You could track a lot of things. So the BLE industry is evolving, and it is, think of it going like this, right? Autonomous APs became controllers, controllers became cloud, and then came Mist, right? So, sorry, nice, shameless plug. But BLE is going from autonomous, where it's battery-operated beacons, you literally have to touch the damn beacon to be able to program it, to you put it in your APs, it's everywhere, and it's auto-calibrated, right? It is, you get 1 to 3 meters of accuracy. We've deployed at one of the universities in Southern California. The 1 minute after the APs were live, we had blue dot navigation, right? BLE experience and location experience is evolving. So how does this work? The way it works is essentially just like Google Maps, right? If I hear 6 GPS signals, I have a location, and then I have an app that makes my location real. A Google Maps, a Yahoo Maps, whatever. Same thing. We have an SDK that you put on a mobile phone, receives these signals, and once you receive these signals, send it to the cloud, you get a blue dot, and you get a very accurate blue dot. And now, we'll look into the demo as to how do we get the accuracy that we are delivering with this blue dot, right? So here's a simple map. I think I may have showed you in the morning this one. So that's the AP. That AP has everything that we talked about, machine learning and Wi-Fi in the morning, but it also has a 16 and 10 element array inside built in for Bluetooth Low Energy. And what that does is essentially is blanketing this canvas with BLE. So once I blanket this canvas with BLE, I could do app-based engagement, I could do app-based analytics, and I could do a lot of stuff. So how does that work? So I'm going to click on Matt's iPhone here. This is Matt's iPhone. This is a live demo when I was recording it, so it's live then. But here's what the mobile device is seeing from an RF perspective. First time in the industry, I'm zooming in to the SDK of the mobile device. It's seeing the 8 antenna arrays, and that's a per second basis. It's seeing the RSS size of each of those antenna arrays coming out. So I have 8 beams per antenna, per AP, and each beam is sending 5 packets per second. So 40 packets per second Per AP, I have a lot of fidelity. I'm seeing 4 APs there. I get 160 packets to work with for location. Incredible data fidelity. Wi-Fi-based location does not compare, right? And that's why, again, we're going from, autonomous type stuff to really enterprise grade. Now, next after this, because I've blanketed this segment with BLE, I can create virtual beacons. No more physical beacons. I was doing this last night. As Keith said, everybody prepares their presentations at 2 a.m. in the night. This was done exactly at that time. So this one is a virtual beacon I created in Cupertino, California, and I just drop it there, and anybody that is walking in the office today, it's going to say, welcome to WLPC, right? They'll be confused, but that's what you could do, right? So you can drop virtual beacon experiences anywhere in the world from your data center, from your armchair in your house. And programmatically, you could do that. And so this is sort of the analytics you would get. For the first time, because we have a high fidelity antenna array, I can receive BLE and transmit BLE. That means I can track BLE, and I can actually enable BLE. So I'm able to actually do analytics on BLE, SDK clients. I'm able to do BLE, asset tags if you have asset tracking, and we're doing Wi-Fi based analytics all in one frame, right? And so again, if you remember the 4 blocks from the morning, enterprise grade location is here, and it requires to be enterprise grade BLE, right? So that's sort of the effort we're after. So let me see, move. Yes, okay, so what not to do with location? Don't do autonomous APs in 2017. Don't do battery-operated beacons. Don't do USB beacons. Definitely do not do those single-chip BLE beacons that are claiming as BLE in APs. That essentially all you get is maybe a push notification at an AP level granularity. When you could buy this entire experience, packaged with the Wi-Fi solution as an enterprise-grade solution. By the way, 100% of everything I said applies to Cisco's Beacon Point and to the Mist product, right? So all of them are enterprise-grade BLE. So Cisco's Beacon Point supports everything I'm talking about. One of the biggest and the worst things we've done as location deployers over the last 10 years is overpromise and underdeliver. Please don't do that. Here's what you want to do if you want to be rolling in money. That's the best I could do with respect to pictures. So if you want to be rolling in money, enterprise-grade BLE, high-definition BLE. This is going into large retailers, large hospitality venues. We've had this deployed in large hotels, in university campuses, on enterprise campuses. We have this, and again, never ever again should you be doing manual location calibration. An iPhone 6s behaves wildly differently than an iPhone 5s on BLE. You shouldn't have to know that. We know that. They let the machine do the work for that, right? And then you're embarrassing me now. 1 to 3 meters of accuracy is what you could do. 1 to 3 meters of accuracy is actually very deliverable in a very short amount of time. I'm not out of time, right? I planned this. Okay, good. And then, sub-second accuracy, sub-second latency. One of the things that plagued us with, anybody that did Wi-Fi-based location is, did the iPhone transmit? Did 3 people hear it? Did 8 people get it in the right time frame? And all of that took latency. Now with the cloud, we turn around the packet in less than a second. So the perceptible location experience on the mobile phone is amazing. So some of my customers are here. They wanted me them to be anonymous, but you should talk to them. They actually will say, and the question I asked Brian Totten was, would you put this in a patient's hand? Is this ready? And Brian said, yes. Yes is the right answer, Brian. I didn't prep you for this. So anyway, that's all. I think all I want to say is thank you very much. We really sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Wireless LAN Professionals Podcast, the podcast for wireless LAN professionals by wireless LAN professionals. Be sure to follow us on Twitter @WirelessLANPros for all the latest news and updates, and also connect directly with Keith on Twitter @KeithRParsons. Head over to www.wlanpros.com for this episode's show notes, as well as the latest in all things Wi-Fi.